What exactly is the most fun you can have in a video game? I mean, there's a lot to consider. Player fantasy, smoothness, matchmaking, community, interactivity, even luck or RNG. Luckily for you, Spider-Man is, numerically and objectively speaking, the most fun character in Marvel Rivals. He's undoubtedly the most popular character in the game. He generates untold amounts of aura with his kit and has the most unique player fantasy of the entire roster. But can that even begin to answer? So, you want to learn Spider-Man. You want to zip around the map. You want to frag out and be the single biggest reason the strategist is the least popular role in the game. Well, good news. You're here. You've made it. If you're here to play Spider-Man, you probably already have an ADHD Subway Surfer's attention span, so I'm going to speed run these basics for you. Turn up the playback speed if you really need to. Here we go. Spider-Man has 250 HP, a double jump, and a wall climb, both of which are activated by pressing the jump button. His primary fire is Spider Power, a 3-hit melee combo. The punches deal 25 damage a hit. The finisher of the combo is a kick that deals 40 damage. Punches have a range of 3 meters, kick has a range of 4 meters. If you hit this primary fire after double jumping, you absolutely crack skulls with a 55 damage slam. Up next is the true core of Spider-Man's kit, Web Cluster. This alternate fire shoots a projectile. This projectile does a handful of things. Pay attention. First off, the projectile travels at 120 meters a second, dealing 30 damage. You can store a maximum of 5 of these shots, and they individually regenerate every 2.5 seconds. Damage fall-off starts at 20 meters, with your damage getting halved at 40 meters. Though being able to deal damage from a distance is useful, the real value of this ability is the debuff it applies, Spider Tracer. This debuff, upon being applied to an enemy, can be seen above their head, and it has 2 significant effects. Firstly, your attacks will now deal a burst of bonus damage to the target. Think of each little mark as an extra detonation of damage. You detonate the mark by dealing damage with your hands. 2, your right bumper, Get Over Here, can become an entirely different ability, Web Strike. Little side note, this ability has a kick at the end, which many Spider players accidentally cook themselves by canceling the square. More on that later. Continuing the speed run, the next ability is his leftmost face button, Amazing Combo. This ability is an uppercut with 2 charges. The punch deals 60 damage to anyone within a circular 4-meter radius of you and has a charge system. This ability holds 2 of these charges, gains a new charge every 6 seconds, and has a cooldown in between casts of 2 seconds. Next up, Get Over Here is Spider-Man's right bumper ability. In a vacuum, this ability shoots out a projectile very similar to your left bumper, Web Swing, which we'll talk about later. Upon hitting a target within 20 meters, they take 25 damage, are stunned, and get pulled to you. However, if you have hit an enemy with your alternate fire within the past 3 seconds, the target receives a reticle around their hitbox, with a prompt for right bumper. If you cast this ability while within 24 meters, you will pull yourself within melee range of the target, kicking them for 55 damage. Hey, listen, I know it's a lot, but you're going to be shocked by how simple all this is. Stay with me here, becoming a Lord Spider-Man is worth it. So, let's do a brief recap of Spider-Man's basic damaging abilities. Let's review on how he interacts with his opponents. You have a 3-punch combo that deals mild damage. You have a projectile that deals 30 damage, which actually deals 45 damage upon hitting a target again with your hands. You have a generous uppercut that deals damage and knocks up everyone around you. Your right bumper shoots out a tether to pull people, if you haven't hit them with your alternate fire, in which case it transforms into a gap-closing kick move that deals surprising damage. So, allow me to jumpstart your Spider-Man career with the absolute basics that you'll see in the average quick play game. Hit an opponent from afar with your alternate fire, get within 24 meters and press right bumper, holding yourself to the target and kicking him in the face, then press square for a nigh inescapable punch combo. Focus on doing this for your first ever Spider-Man game. The Amazing Combo is a fast, reliable, and forgiving combo that will allow you to at least do something. Alright, go take a break, grab some Cheetos or something, I'm gonna get a coffee. Now, I'm sure you've noticed the glaring issue in the room. We haven't even touched Spider-Man's left bumper Web Swing. Spider-Man's principal and defining feature is his mobility. Do you like going fast? If your answer was anything other than then this character isn't for you. As Spider-Man, going fast is everything. You have to flank from unexpected areas by moving fast. You have to engage and access your targets by moving fast. You have to make your deaths relatively unimportant by returning to the front line via moving fast. Your survivability as a whole depends on your going fast. Upon pressing the left bumper, Spider-Man will shoot out a 30-meter web. This web grips onto a surface effectively instantly, starting a dash. This ability has 3 charges with a 6-second cooldown between charges. It has no cooldown necessarily, it's just more of that resource. If you hit a surface above the core of your hitbox, you will engage in a long upswing dash. This dash has a sort of arc and allows you to build up momentum very quickly. However, if you hit a surface below the core of your hitbox, you will engage in a straight downswing dash. There is no swing for this downswing dash. You move directly from point A to point B. This, much like the rest of the Spider's kit, has a lot of depth that you and I are about to cover. By the way, another reminder, make sure easy swing is turned off. You just cannot control this character with enough precision to seriously win a multiplayer game with that setting turned on. Spider-Man's ultimate is a spectacular spin. It's honestly a refreshingly simple ability. It's basically regrippled. You hit Q and you air it out. Within 8 meters around you, you deal 13.6 damage every 0.08 seconds, slowing each enemy by 3% every time you hit them. You grant yourself 250 bonus health upon cast, but are very CC vulnerable while casting. It's worth mentioning that 20 slow stacks will convert into a stun for 1.5 seconds. It takes 1.6 seconds of that continual damaging for that slow stat to reach that threshold, so time those 2 intervals in your muscle memory pretty close together. Alright, you did it! Congratulations, your attention span is stronger than 85% of the people you're watching this video alongside right now. These are the basics of Spider-Man. We've covered what each button does and briefly glossed over his 3 passives. As you could probably imagine, there's much more we have to talk about in order to contribute in any meaningful way on the battlefield. I'm going to break it into chapters here, so maybe you can stop and take a few notes. Alright, Web Swing is what transforms Spider-Man from a basic combo-based assassin into his iconic high-flying fantasy. It's honestly simpler than you think. Brief recap just for your context. Web swings that hit a surface above you are upswings. Ones that hit beneath you are downswings. Let's start with the lower one, the downswing. This dash is slower, shorter, and overall covers less distance. There's really only one thing you can do consistently to make this dash worth your time, an animation cancel. A great many of Spider-Man's abilities can be animation canceled, allowing your character to literally move quicker with a bit of knowledge and correct timing. Once you press this button and start your downswing, you begin a nosedive type of animation. In the later parts of this dash, as you close in on the point that you're dashing to, you can cancel this animation with your alternate fire web cluster. All this does is free up your movement. You don't actually lose any momentum by doing this. So, to capitalize on this mobility and momentum that you just gained, you jump. Congratulations, you've learned your first Spider-Man tech and are well on your way to being a mass menace. Now let's get on to the upswing. Your upswing is the more preferable of the 2 dashes. It makes your movement quicker, it makes it more unpredictable, and overall grants you a greater degree of control over your character. This dash needs to be completely and totally comfortable for you to find success on Spider-Man. Honestly, I would suggest casting it a good 100 times in the practice range before you ever try to frag out in a match on Spider-Man. This dash has an interesting and unusual trajectory, but it's not as bad as it actually feels at first. Basically, this dash has a rounded curve. Once you're attached to a surface, you kind of move this way. Now, this dash doesn't lock out your movement quite like the downswing, but the double jump is less valuable due to the direction of momentum that you're generating. Here, you want to carry your momentum rather than redirect it. So, you press your uppercut. Your uppercut generates a quick little dash upwards without altering your momentum too much. So, you want to hit your uppercut as a means of generating more upwards thrust while maintaining your overall velocity. Spider-Man is numerically weak. If you ever outdamage a Punisher, he was probably 5. Spider-Man is a specialist, meaning he has a specific thing he does very well rather than doing everything relatively well. Mobility and precision is that specific strength. It's great to control your character, but this does nothing without knowing how to properly orient your control. As Spider-Man, you're an assassin, a flanker. If you're an absolute movement demon, you might even be able to consider him a fragile skirmisher. Your job is not to stay with your team on the front line, it's to operate independently on the flank and contribute as much as possible, frequently via getting kills. You have so much mobility, you can be literally anywhere at any time. So where does an assassin want to be? Close to the squishies. 250 HP characters are your lunch, and don't worry, we're going to talk about combos later. You should really never be fighting head to head, your power budget just doesn't really benefit that. For now, just understand this. Use your mobility to position away from the main battlefront. Always target injured or vulnerable characters first, and be prepared to leave as soon as you can. See, I promise the squishies know you're there. They're constantly thinking about you. A good opponent will have a plan to deal with you for when you next attack, and clever opponents will actually group up to band together against you. Because of this, a sloppy approach sees you getting focus fire and getting killed in an instant. Every second you're in the enemy's line of fire, your doom is impending. The enemy Luna is lining up a freeze, the enemy Strange is on the way to clap your cheeks, and there's probably a Namor somewhere too. You should really only ever engage on Spider-Man with a sneaky dive, so think of it like an equation. Time spent in the backline, multiplied by the unpredictability of your movement, equals how many seconds until you die. Every second is a gamble, but with every passing second your character can deal more and more damage, and as you learn more and more about maps and matchups, you get a better idea of how close you can cut it in a dive, and consequently, how much damage you can safely squeeze out of yourself before you die or have to leave. In conclusion, never take a linear approach, get in fast, get out faster, and healthier opponents take longer to kill, so really only target the low HP enemies. What's the difference between you and Necros? Right now, I mean. How does he drop 70 bombs and you drop 70 deaths? Knowledge. On Spider-Man, every single one of your abilities has multiple effects. 1, your swings control your uptime and your longevity. Your uppercuts can give you mobility or an assassination burst. Your web strike is both mobility and damage at the same time. Even your double jump is a decision between added slipperiness or an empowered basic attack. Making split-second decisions based on what you need to do is just as important as executing them successfully. For example, what if escaping is your top priority? Look at your ability bar. Suddenly, these abilities start looking a little different. Your web swing becomes your saving grace. Your uppercut becomes a dash extendinator. Your web strike becomes a dash to a target rather than to a surface. Your tool belt accomplishes more than you think. Try going to the practice range and seeing how many ways your abilities allow you to move, because your web swings are not infinite. Rely on them too much and you're just going to run out. Running out of web swings really only results in 2 things, and they're both bad. Depending on where you are in the moment, you'll either 1, take an extremely unfavorable fight, or 2, just sacrifice your uptime. Spider-Man without mobility really is not scary. If you intend to battle an opponent without any swings in the chamber, you better intend to hit every shot and do it immediately. Uptime is the biggest consideration of the advanced Spider-Man player. You have to be constantly tweaking out for your 60 damage uppercut to put as much on the scoreboard as your fellow DPS players. For example, Hela deals 140 damage per second with just her primary fire. Honestly, Bucky comes closer to 200 damage per second. Furthermore, they do it from a range, they do it with significantly reduced risk, it can often be easier as well. Because your numbers are so reduced, you have to be trying your absolute hardest to contribute in the match. No, not everything shows up in the scoreboard. Sometimes you peel support, sometimes you CC an ultimate, but that doesn't mean you should be comfortable with low numerical value. So this word I'm throwing around, value. It's probably Spider-Man's biggest weakness, and you and I need to take some time to navigate that. First off, 1, your low commitment. You aren't under fire every second as Spider-Man. You spend much of the game off of people's screens, moving too fast to hit, or walking off to grab a health pack so that you don't have to waste your healer's resources. You're an independent ally, so you're an inexpensive ally. 2, your numbers are meaningful. Though you might be dealing half the damage your Mr. Fantastic is dealing, each point you dealt had a goal in mind. You don't spam down the choke as Spider-Man, every point of damage is an attempt on a kill. Don't just engage on someone for no reason. Have a specific target in a specific window of time in mind. 3. Maximum target access. How does a Namor kill a strategist behind a Vanguard shield? How does an Iron Fist kill a duelist being pocketed by a strategist? They don't. You have enough mobility to interact with the game in any way you please, so you need to be constantly analyzing the game state to make a decision on what is most important for overall victory. Sometimes harassing a goated strategist is all you need to win a game. In conclusion, do all things in moderation. Your character is very multifaceted, and though you're independent, you are still playing a team game. Don't just die the same strategist every time. Don't just punch the tank in the face over and over. Alright, combos. Spider-Man has a fantastic player fantasy, not just because of his mobility and personality, but also because of how it feels to pilot him. Spider-Man is a hero shooter character, but oftentimes plays more like a fighting game character. Hear me out. Spider-Man's basic combo reads as such: Tracer, Closer, Uppercut. That's what we talked about earlier in the video. On the controller, this looks like land a left trigger, right bumper within range, leftmost face button. This isn't enough to kill, but because it's a nice and simple combo, I like to think of Gatling combos from Guilty Gear when I use this combo. Simple, effective, reliable. Obviously, we go a lot deeper. Since this video is specifically designed for beginners and contains much more than just combos, which I can make an entire video on, I will only cover what I feel are the most applicable combos, or what are simultaneously most useful to execute and most realistic for beginners to try and learn in a reasonable amount of time. Let's go. 1. Manual Closer Uppercut. Tracer, Closer, Uppercut, Tracer, Web Zip, Uppercut. This combo is labeled as manual because you use your web swing to get into position to deal damage as opposed to relying on the automatic target access of the Get Over Here or Closer. This, effectively, saves you a tracer hit, which is less intensive on skill and resources alike. Practice this one immediately. Number 2, the long plink overhead. Tracer, Closer, Uppercut, upswing or downswing into a double tracer. See, Spider-Man has a lot of recovery frames, which is also a concept ripped straight from fighting games. Long story short, sometimes when you press a button, you cannot press any other buttons for a brief period of time. However, there are specific ways that you can cancel out of this. This combo has utilizing the web swing as the 4th piece because hitting web swing, whether you actually engage in a dash or not, frees up your actions, allowing you to hit more buttons and deal more damage. Number 3, the pull overhead combo. After engaging in a double jump, tracer, pull, overhead, tracer, uppercut. One of Spider-Man's greatest weaknesses is kill pressure, pushing a simple attack into a serious attempt on someone's life that could result in something other than ult charge for the enemy supports. It's important to note that you can bind Get Over Here's pull functionality and web strike ability to different buttons. Personally, I just hit Get Over Here before the tracer interaction gives me access to web strike. I find it's a bit easier to aim. Anyway, by choosing to pull someone with a tracer on them rather than engaging on them, you have closed the gap without consuming the web tracer currently applied to them. This allows you to spend this stored damage in more threatening ways after you've pulled the target to you. Now, you have access to the overhead move since you jumped right before the combo. Hitting another tracer followed by an uppercut allows you to pull your targets away from safety and deal quick lethal damage. That's all on combos for now. I'm not going to disrespect the people who actually play this character by insisting I can tell you better than them, but let me know if you'd like to see a video on the combo list at a later date. You know, NetEase really knows how to make you feel like Spider-Man. Agile acrobatics, nail-bitingly close calls, and constant, incessant quipping. Marvel Rivals has Spider-Man play out as a fascinating caricature of the typical assassin archetype and really shows the player base that they can indulge their fantasies. Of course, we have to address the elephant in the room. No, I don't think he's especially powerful. Obviously, Necros is crying a bit too hard, but I do believe he's right on some avenues. However, despite all this, I don't disagree with NetEase's balancing changes. Let me explain. As it stands, Spider-Man probably has the most mechanical depth of the entire roster. Every single move has a meaningful cancel, and all the moves can be used in differing orders to create a deeply varied moveset. Furthermore, the three-dimensionality of Web Cluster and Web Swing allow for unlimited variance on the experience of playing this character on a second-to-second basis, which is so much further than the average player has to go to win a match of Marvel Rivals. Hit-scan characters can spend some time in the practice range and refine their muscle memory to a point. This allows them to, potentially, carry a great many games.
Strategists have to garner game experience to understand things like priority, positioning, and consistently make sober deductions pertaining to the game state, but there's not actual practicing. Vanguards have to make tight decisions and offer support to their team with exhaustive tactical calculation, but their kits oftentimes win their engagements for them. Spider-Man has so much to do because, on the baseline, his kit isn't capable of very much. But I still see him played constantly. This is ultimately why I think NetEase is right. When I see Spider-Man, I think of Spy from TF2. He's undoubtedly weak. These players practice for dozens of hours to get a leg up on beginners with double-digit hours in the game. His kit requires a wide variety of thought, his numbers are small, and sometimes a certain matchup simply makes you lose the game. And yet, despite all this, I see him played every single game. The people who play the character completely love him and wouldn't play the game without him. His personality practically oozes through the screen, and he even manages to be fun to play against because that's what Overwatch forgot, right? Fun to play against. Spider-Man changes the entire match the moment someone picks him. If a character was constantly picked and broken, it would be miserably toxic for the state of the game. Here's my conclusion. Thank God Spider-Man is weak. He's so unbelievably fun that he will have a small horde of dedicated one-tricks for the rest of time. Beyond that, he's even fun to play against because you're benefiting from increased odds of victory while playing against him. A weak character is fun to beat up on sometimes. An interactive character is stimulating to fight. A complex character is a blast to learn. Spider-Man is a part of the soul of Marvel Rivals, unabashedly and directly putting the tools for fun in the hands of the players and just seeing what happens. Why do I love Spider-Man? Because no matter how good you are, I can still click Namor and remove you from the game if you're annoying me. Everybody gets to have fun.